look at investment real estate through a different lens, through the lens of failure. This is not HGTV. Things don't always magically work out. Failure is gut-wrenching, heartbreaking, but most importantly, an amazing teacher. We have failed more than most have tried, but because of our failure, we have succeeded. These are the stories that have turned average real estate investors into the battle-tested superstars that they are today. Welcome to The Flipping Reality. Hey everybody.
Hi guys.
Bryan and Niko here with the Flipping Reality podcast, where we talk to you about the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the flipping reality of the flipping business every single week. And this week we're excited to talk to you about good contractors and how good contractors are literally the engine for your success on your flipping projects. And so Niko and I, it is a beautiful day here.
So pretty today.
It's wonderful. It is 50 degrees and in February in Detroit with sun. It's a wonderful thing. We decided we are sitting at Gabriel Richard Park. It's right on the Riverwalk. We're looking right at Belle Isle right now. It's right over there. And the blue water of the Detroit River, it's glistening. It's wonderful. It's an absolute perfect day to be down here.
Yes, it is.
So what we want to talk to you about is we want to talk to you about good contractors, and we have a whole bunch of notes prepared on and some thoughts behind what we think makes a good contractor and how to help you find them. But really what it comes down to, four things. So four things are critically important to having a good contractor. The first is quality. The second is price. The third is communication. And the fourth is timing. So you got to have all four of those to be able to work. And an example of that would be, it seems like, well, you can make it work. You can make 3 out of 4 of those work, but your project's going to be rocky. So if you find a guy that is a wonderful communicator, he is the right price and he is the right quality, you're like, yes, we did it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets the job done 6 weeks behind schedule.
Throws everything off.
It's so bad.
Costs
It
more.
happens all the time. Or you get people that are just bad communicators but good at work.
Yeah.
And so the worst, which is the most people that we find, is they're too expensive. Great at everything, and they get paid exactly how they should. But as flippers, as investors, we have to go through and we have to find people that will work at an investor price. And the reason why there is such thing as an investor price is because
we give them lots of work. And they don't have to be out looking for work constantly.
We didn't even talk about this
No, that's actually a really good point. We hear that a lot from our main crew now. They'll do it if they have to, but they know with us they have consistent work coming.
Yep.
Month after month after month. So in return we get a little less of a price than a residential customer.
Yeah, we get some discounts. You'll hear all the time I could make $30,000 putting in this kitchen or bathroom or whatever. It's why would I do it for you so cheap? And the reality is because with us, we're doing it time and time and time again.
Yeah.
And we have the next house lined up. If you're a smaller flipper just getting going, you can provide consistency to where they'll fill out their calendar throughout the year. And just say, the one thing that I don't like doing, you meet a new contractor. I am not a fan personally because these people hear it all the time of we're going to do so much work together. And it's we haven't even done one thing yet.
Yeah.
So you can't promise the world and you can't expect the biggest discount ever. But it is important to negotiate the right price kind of based off of some reality of what you think you can provide.
Yeah.
So if you can create a really good, honest initial communication, there you go, phone. Forgot to turn that off. Do not disturb going forward. Okay, there we go. So if you can create good, honest communication of what they can realistically expect, hey, I do 3 flips a year. I would love for you to be able to do my roofing on all of them or all of my interior stuff, my carpentry, whatever. Then they can say yeah, this is how much, I'm willing to give off of the regular price to be able to create investor pricing. But we really weren't even supposed to talk about that, but that just kind of popped up.
It's a really important one, though.
It is, because usually that's your first conversation with these guys is hey, this is what I do. I know for me, when I talk to somebody new, I'm hey, just so you know, we've done almost 300 houses. We've been doing this for 8 years. We do a ton of stuff. So if we can create a scenario that's a good fit, like usually what happens is there's a lot of work, for both of us.
Yeah.
So that helps. So I always lead with that type of stuff. If you're a one-off, like you just have one project, that's okay. Like, hey, I got this one project. Don't expect like the cheapest discount, that you've ever seen in your life. But at the same time, like that's, you got to start there. So to recap, those four things are like critically important. So price, quality, communication, and timing. So if you get those four, and a lot of times you got to like shuffle through a lot of people to try to get really close to that.
Yeah. And it's really hard to get all four. But when you do, hold on to them.
Yes, critical. And so you want to talk about some of these qualities.
Qualities of a great contractor that we found that they have in common: detail oriented. They are problem solvers. Number one, it's like the most important. We'll come back to that in a minute.
Yeah, I was gonna say we need to hit that one.
Yeah, they're clean and organized on the job site. Also, want to talk about that a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
They stick to timelines, like we were just saying, as much as possible. They protect the budget, and they take pride in the work, which is key. And they can be calm in chaos. So those are what I think are the top qualities.
Do you think there's chaos in this business?
Just a little bit. just a little bit.
Just a smidge. So, okay, let's talk about the problem solving. Like that, out of that entire list, like that's the one that like jumps off the page to me.
Yeah. So especially when I was new to working here and working with flips and contractors, I have a little bit of a background before here with construction, but I didn't have a lot. So what I needed from the crews was solutions, not problems brought. So a lot of times they would call me and be like, this is crazy and this is happening and what do I do? And it's like, well, can you give me a couple of like ideas?
Right.
What are your thoughts? And then we can learn together and problem solve. One of our crews currently is so good at that. Like, there's a problem, we talk it through and we figure out a solution. And they always bring a solution before they even bring the problem. And I think that's really key.
It's massive. The problem with
mindset. Sorry.
Yes, no, that's exactly. Solutions oriented people. The problem with problems is if you don't bring solutions to them. Like Nicole, she is not the person. She's not our finished carpentry person.
Right.
Like she doesn't know. Like we've dealt with a lot of stuff, but it's like if you tell me like, hey, this header is jacked up, like, okay, like, what do you want me to do about it? Like we can talk it if you need to talk it through. Sometimes you come across problems that are like, okay, they're really
you really need a couple different minds on it.
It's a kerfuffle. When you deal with used houses, that can happen.
Yeah.
So having a really like solutions oriented problem solver, when we first started in this business, like not so much the case. Now it's like, hey, bring us a solution, tell us what the problem was, and then if it's going to cost more, here's like the cheaper fix, here's the more expensive fix. What do you guys want to do?
Yeah.
A and B, one, sometimes C, but most of the time it's usually one or two solutions. There's a cheap one and then there's a more expensive one. And then honestly, just depending on how the project is going and like what the thing is, sometimes you can take the cheap Band-Aid and other times you just got to like rip the Band-Aid off and, pay for the more expensive thing. So problem solver is one. What was the other one that you wanted to hit?
Clean and organized. And something we've learned, all crews work differently. Some are like, there's crap everywhere when you walk onto the job site. Some are more organized. One of the things that we've learned is there's a lot of times in the past, there was a lot of excess material at the end of a job. So either it didn't get returned or or it ends up sitting in a storage unit somewhere and you forget about it. So you have all this excess material that's going to waste. Our current crew is so good at that. They use up everything, return things as they go. At the end of a project, we hardly have any waste. So being clean and organized and knowing what you got is really helpful.
And that's also a part of protecting the budget, which is a massive thing. One of the things that I've noticed, like in this business, I've come across a lot of people that are like, like you got to watch these guys with, like where are they overspending? If they're going to Depot and they're doing phone sales and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's been my experience, and I know your experience as well, to where like if you find good people, they protect the budget just as much as you're trying to protect the
Mm-hmm.
budget. Hey, this tile was on sale. I found this vanity. It's a little bit cheaper. Hey, I know you were thinking this, but this option is like half the cost. That's been a wonderful thing. But that goes back to the people. You
Yeah.
work with the right people.
They have to care, which also leads into having pride in their work. So if they care enough to protect your budget, they probably care enough to take pride in their work and the quality and craftsmanship and making sure that we're all on the same team at the end of the day. So you need team players.
And so if you're doing this for the long haul, okay, so if you're flipping houses and you're hoping to find a crew that's going to be in the long haul, the crazy part is that your profit matters to your crew. Like we need to make money
Yeah.
so we can keep them going. And then they're building in what their margins are and stuff like that. But their goal ideally is to go from one project to another, to another, to another. And the way that they can do that is by hooking into people that they know, like, and trust, that have good businesses that, can continue to pay them over the course of time. So our profit margin actually impacts them, because if we, um, are not profitable enough, then it's like, okay, we need to move on. And if we move on, the other thing we didn't even talk about, have we talked about location of the crew to the job?
No, that's a big one.
That's a big one too. So let's say, right now we're working a ton in Detroit, and our guys that are working here are like working on the east side, or they're based out of the east side of Metro Detroit. And if we can't make it work down here, maybe Nicole and I are like, oh, you know what? There's big opportunity in Ann Arbor. Well, the guys that we've worked with for the last 6 years, like, they're not going to drive to Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
They don't want to. They probably would, but
We've had it like that before in the past in suburbs, and it never works. They got to charge more because they're driving more, and the project takes 5 times longer than it should have
it's
because
so
they
long.
don't have as much hours on the job site every day.
So if you get somebody that needs to drive a long distance, like, the key there is that they have to be able to put in long hours every day. Because if they're putting in a regular 8 hour day and it takes an hour to get to the job site, an hour to get back, you just you're not making enough progress.
Yeah.
So, and then they take a lunch and all that type of stuff. You know, we don't let our guys take lunches.
No, they're not allowed.
It's not, you know, it's not cool. So, but no, if they're driving further, they need to stay longer. Be just from a simple math standpoint, to be able to get the job done.
Yeah.
A lot of times they're trying to cram the same like 8 hour day, but now you got an hour in the beginning, hour at the end. So that part kind of sucks. So, that part, like proximity to the job site is really important. When we started, like Nicole said, we were kind of taking people from all over the place. We had somebody that, I'm trying to think, we had a job in Woodhaven, which is, just call it like 45 minutes down from the middle part of Metro Detroit. From Royal Oak for me is always like the center of Metro Detroit. So Woodhaven's like 45 minutes south. And we hired a guy that was up in, like, this was before you, he was up in like Fenton.
What?
Yeah, and I didn't
That's
know.
crazy,
This was
actually.
like the fourth or fifth house that we ever did. I had no idea. Fenton's like an hour, like, northwest of Metro Detroit, of Royal Oak. So come to find out, the guy's driving like an hour and a half each way, and the next thing you know, we're just missed our timeline, not even close. And then at the time, I didn't know any of this stuff. So then I found out, oh, he lives up there. You're like, well, no shit, is it?
Yeah, that would be horrible.
Yeah, you got no chance with that. So, okay, so those are some of the things, a great contractor. Like, those are some of the characteristics. You have some ideas, like, you have some people in mind. Like, you don't have to say names, but maybe you can talk about, some examples of how they've come through for us.
Yeah. Um. Well, this one you have more experience with. One of our plumbers at our most recent firehouse story. Um, he was a lifesaver that day.
He absolutely was. So, we talked on one of the podcasts. We talked about how we had a house that we were getting ready to hand over in 2 days. The project was completely done. The family was moving from Chicago to Detroit to buy our house. It was a Wednesday. We're handing them keys on Friday. And then what happened was the roof caught on fire and it torched the house. So everything, this happened at like, call it 2 o'clock in the afternoon. By 4:30, everything had died down. The firefighters are gone. Nicole and her husband took off, and I was just there by myself. And then our plumber, he comes over and he walks in. He sees me there, and he like just sees probably the stare into the abyss of everything. And he's like, "Okay, here we go, dude. We can do one of two things." He said, "I have a membership at a gun range. We can go right now. It looks like you need to like let off some steam and some stress. Like we can go shooting right now if that would help." Thing number two, if you'd feel better, he's like, "I got all the remediation equipment in my warehouse." It was like 20 minutes from there. He's like, "I got all the remediation equipment, dehues, vents, ionizers, fans, like all of the stuff, generators, everything that we would need." He's like, "I have all of that. Which one of those sounds good to you?" And for me, when you're experiencing like, I'll just call it trauma. We call this one the death of a house. When you're experiencing that type of like shock to the system, it's like, okay, it was just nice that he came there. He looked at it impartially and he's like, "Here are two solutions, right? Solutions oriented. Here are two things that we could do. Which do you need?" So I, with everything going on, it was like -15 that day. I'm like, let's do the remediation. Let's get all that. And because of that, like it saved the house.
Yeah. And he was there with you for hours and hours.
Hours and hours and hours.
For free.
Yeah.
Just he knew you needed help that day.
Yep.
And he cares enough to do that. And he's come through so many times.
It was absolutely wonderful. It was just such a nice like little thing to say, "Hey, I see what's going on. I'm here to help you." He's like, "Just fill up my I took some gas cans, fill my gas cans up, and that's something. Oh, we use propane heaters. Uh, you know, top off the propane for me." And that was an example of that's typically not somebody that you meet immediately.
Yeah.
That's like years of trust that have been built up, and then these guys, they become your friends.
Yeah.
You spend so much time at work that I talk with these guys more than like my regular friends. So it's like they recognize.
I think we put a lot of effort into like what we call servant leadership, right? So like how can we help? How can we make your day better? What can we do? We're always around, we sometimes do lunches or coffees and really try to develop those relationships with people, and I think it takes you a lot further than you think.
True that. What about? Okay, so then uh, we have somebody that has been with us for a long time, super duper dependable.
So dependable, one of the best guys you'll meet. And he hits all the qualities that you talked about in the beginning, except for the price point, which is such a bummer. But he's the biggest problem solver.
Creator?
No.
Oh, solver. Okay. He's a problem solver. That's
What's
right.
the word I'm looking for? He's a solution. He's a solution guy. He always has a solution for everything. He can fix anything. If you call him in a moment of panic or in a need, he's going to be there in a heartbeat. And his quality's great. His communication's great. He's a good friend of mine. But his pricing just doesn't work super great with a lot of these projects, unfortunately.
Yeah, but everything else is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Like we would use him 100 times out of 100 if we can make the pricing work. We do projects here and there.
When we can make it work, we definitely do.
Yep. So he comes through a ton. All over. Like, "Hey, we got an issue an hour from here." He's like, "Okay, I'm coming."
Yeah.
Like it's nuts. We also have another crew. Like these guys that we've been working with them for a long time, and we were working on a house that was in a tight timeline. Okay, this is another person that was moving from out of state, and we had a tight timeline, but we came across something. We came across a money crunch. Okay, our cash flow was whacked out at the time, so we weren't going to be able to get the job done in time. And one of our guys on one of our crews that we've worked with for what, 6 years,
Yeah.
Basically is like essentially like use my credit card to get the project across the finish line. And he did that to the tune of a lot of freaking money. And again, that doesn't happen with a lot of trust. So there's a lot of trust, a lot of years built up, knowing that, he'll get paid back and all that stuff, knowing that it is just a cash crunch. And he's like, listen, we're on the same page. We're going down the same,
Yeah.
like trying to get to the same solution, same finish line, because he knows that when we sell the house and the money comes in, everything kind of gets taken care of. And then everything works out for, had no idea, works out. So there's a security person getting ready to drive onto like the actual Riverwalk, and there's this big gate that like started blaring a second ago. Didn't expect that. So okay, so those guys, and they've been like the most incredible solution finders. They've been like they've done everything that you could ask for and 100 times more.
Yeah.
And so
they're one of the crews that hit all 4 marks for sure.
They hit everything, and it's a lot of like as we talk about like how do you find good people, like these are the people we're thinking about, what are their qualities that they have
Yeah.
to be able to model going forward.
So grateful for them.
And then the last one,
They're the first crew that I worked with here, and they taught me a lot. Um, and the biggest thing is they grew with us, like alongside of us. They started out as painters, and they wanted to get more and more into the flipping side and doing more kitchens and baths, and eventually they were doing everything for us. Unfortunately, they live so far that it just doesn't work anymore now that we're down in Detroit.
yeah, so
But they were amazing.
that's been a bummer. They were with us for like 6 years.
Yeah.
And so that part's been hard because again, you become friends with these guys, and it's like it doesn't work for them, and then it doesn't work for us. So that part has been challenging. I don't have this on the note, but your hubby, like he was the first person. Like I started working with him before I started working with Nicole, and he was the first person that really taught me like problem solving, attention to detail, care. He puts a lot of thought into absolutely everything that he does, and he did a bunch of houses for us before he started spinning off and doing his own thing, and that's what he does now. He flips his own houses. Um, I heard he hired a designer. Doesn't your sister like she helps him?
No.
But she does that. But yeah, but Rob is like he was the first person as an example. Like when I talked with him, um, in this office in Westland that we were in, and he came in. We were just kind of talking, just very authentic, very like he cared a ton, cared deeply. And then at the job site, it would be like, hey, this is these are the attention to detail. He was the first person that really taught me, like, okay, we need to think this stuff through. And because of that, like, he got our flip business off on a great foot. And then what would happen is he would have this little like stowaway tag along that would come, and and I would walk in and she'd be like sprawled out on the ground, just like painting like the trim or the baseboard. And then for those of you that don't know, Nicole owned a cleaning business, and she would do all the cleans of the jobs once everything was said and done.
Yes.
And so that's how we got to know Nicole.
I'm biased, but he's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, he's all right. He's all right. So, but yeah, so that's Robbie. But yeah, that's what happens when you have really good contractors. Like it matters, and there's a lot of stuff. One of the other things we didn't even talk about. You kind of mentioned servant leadership and kind of coming back to that. Like that's another thing. I don't need to be. I'm trying to think. There was that guy in Las Vegas. It was like Flipping Las Vegas or one of those shows where he was just like super like OCD about everything being right. It was either an HGTV or an A&E, and he was always like yelling at people, just yelling at everybody. And in our view of this world, you go a lot further. You got the carrot and the stick, right?
Yeah.
Like, we are carrot people. We are servant leaders. We do our best. What do you need? How can we help you? How do we work together? And so,
I think it's so important. It just creates a different work environment. Everybody can relax a little bit, breathe. I think we're pretty understanding. Mistakes happen. Crews make mistakes. We make mistakes. We all make mistakes. At the end of the day, we're all rowing in the same direction. So
that stuff matters.
yeah,
And so, okay, so now one of the next things we talked about, this is probably the most practical for everybody that's listening,
yeah.
right? Why don't you talk about what the next thing is?
It's how to find them. And for me, in the beginning, the easiest place to go was Facebook, and finding local investor groups in your area that are doing similar things, and you get recommendations on there from other investors that have worked with people, from contractors themselves. uh, I just go to the little search bar, type in I need a brick guy, and then I read through the comments and call a few people. And that's how I found a lot of our guys in the beginning. And then once we found like the core guys, then we started talking to them, and I'm like, hey, I'm looking for an electrician, and then he recommends somebody, and then the electrician recommends somebody, and then you're just all of a sudden building this little ecosystem.
So the it's been a wonderful thing. So in Metro Detroit, like, there is a Facebook group called the Metro Detroit Real Estate Investor Facebook group,
Mm-hmm.
and right now there's like 22,000 people that are a part of that. When we started, there was probably like 12,000, 10,000, somewhere in that area. But it was just such a wonderful spot because since it's investor focused, anybody that's on there like understands that this we're not talking retail stuff, we're talking investor
Yeah.
stuff. And the other benefit, we kind of skipped over that investor stuff. One of the benefits for them is these houses are empty, so the contractors, they love working on vacant properties. They can come in when they need to. They can make as much noise as they want. They can listen to whatever music. Does not matter. You don't have to be like quite as clean if it's like the beginning of a project and that type of stuff. So,
Yeah.
but that Facebook group was absolutely massive.
It was so helpful.
And then you also pointed out kind of mid-story that you would reach out for referrals. So
Mm-hmm.
one is like, if you can find an investor Facebook group that's local, wonderful. If not, you can also look for just like regular Facebook groups that talk about contractors. There's a ton of those, and I've looked all over the country at different cities. Some cities have smaller real estate investor Facebook presence than others. Um, but if you're in, like, let's say Pittsburgh or Indianapolis, you'll have stuff there. Any of the big cities will have stuff. But if you're in the middle of, like, you know the west side of Iowa, like, you might have problems there. So you might have to just poke around a little bit
Yeah.
and see what you can find. And so Facebook groups, one, two, contractors or referrals from contractors that you're working with.
Yeah. Another one's a blind post on social media. So we've always had a social media presence. We are currently trying to grow that more, but just posting out there, or even on your personal page, like, hey, I'm looking for this guy to do this thing. Anybody know anybody? And 9 times out of 10, somebody's gonna know somebody, and that's super helpful. Um, this is one you're really good at, calling other people in the space that are doing similar things that you are. If you met them at a meetup, or you met them on the Facebook group, or just asking.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff, if you can put your ego to the side and just call and say, hey, person that I know that's remotely connected to this space, like, I need help solving this problem. The thing that I've learned over time is that people want to help. Like, most people are helpers. So you call and you say, hey, I need your help. Can you help me find a fence person or a
Mm-hmm.
roof person or a gutter guy? And they'll be like, I have a gutter guy that I like. Or do you know anybody that I can talk to that might know? Like, oh, I don't have somebody, but my cousin is doing a job right now and he might know somebody. Let me connect you with him. Like, you just kind of have to, like, poke around in order to find the solution that you're looking for.
Another thing that we didn't talk about, but just thought of, is uh, watching vans. Like, I'll
Oh
be
yeah.
driving down the freeway and I'll see, like, HVAC and like take a quick picture of that, you know. I've called several of those guys. I found
Yes.
a sewer guy doing that in the past, and lucky for us, the area that we're working, there's a lot of contractors and a lot of work going on. So stopping and talking to them, or you know, looking for that marked vehicle, that really helps too.
Yeah, that could be like in Detroit. You have people that will work in the suburbs, and you got some people that won't go into the actual city. So that's a wonderful way to find contractors, is just like patrol up and down the neighborhoods that you're working,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll find all the people that are willing to work in that area. And we have found a ton of them that way.
Yeah, a ton.
And so that part has been really good. So we have that. Um, we kind of talked
Yeah.
about the what great contractors do differently.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you just kind of like read through it just so you can get the thought out there?
They protect their budget, the budget like it's theirs. And one thing I did want to mention on that is I think being a little bit transparent with the budget with your crew helps with that, so they understand where you're at. Sometimes they think, oh, they're investors, they've got thousands and thousands and millions of
Not, no,
dollars,
not
and
sometimes. Every
we're
time.
profiting so much, and it's not. But if you're a little more transparent with your situation, I found that that helps, and then they start helping you
That
protect your budget.
that part is massive, and it's also a part of the reason why, one, you have to control your costs as much as possible. You have to make as much profit as possible, because this entire business, just think of this, um, you failing is like the equivalent of gravity. Like that gravity is everywhere. Doesn't mean you can't get off the ground and fly a plane or go into outer space, but like the failure gravity is all around you for a flip, constantly trying to like impose its will, making your project fail. And it wants you to fail so bad. So you need to be able to like fight through that. And it is a really like it's a challenge to be able to like this one project could go wonderful, and then your next three, like, there's a million things. The market could change, a hidden issue that you have no idea could happen,
Break in.
break in, COVID, like all this stuff. So people get pissed at flippers because it's like, oh, you make $50,000 on this house. Well, I have to, because I have three other houses that were complete turkeys that didn't work. And, so that's why you have to protect your budget. That's why you got to protect your timelines. That's why you got to protect all of your costs associated with that. And all these people that think like, oh, you're super rich, the reality is like, okay, we have figured out how to use other people's money to be able to purchase houses, be able to, use private money lenders to be able to fix them and do all that type of stuff. And anybody that's in the flip business that is scaling their business, like, will never feel like they have any money,
Yeah.
because it's so much money that goes out at any given time. The only time you like start to like really feel like you have money is, after a certain period of time. And it's really as you start to slow down, where you have less money going out and more money that stays like in your own pockets. So if you're going from like one flip a year to one flip a month, like, you'll always feel broke. Always. Every single flipper I know will feel that way. Um, and so the money, the profit, all of that stuff is really, it's so critical. You have to manage the crap out of it, uh, because if this guy charges you a little bit extra, and this project takes a little bit longer than you want, now you're adding in taxes and timelines and insurance and all this stuff that just adds and adds and adds. And so that's why you need contractors that will protect the freaking budget like it's their own. So you can, it comes down to, when you're flipping a house, it comes down to three numbers. Like, it's only three numbers. One is what can you buy it for? Two is what can you sell it for? And three is what can you spend to fix the project. Okay, so buy, sell.
Budget.
It really should be buy, budget, and then sell it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you control the buy number. You don't control the sell number, but you probably have a pretty good idea of what it'll sell for in a normal market. So basically, it comes down to one number. It's like one number most of the time. Can you keep your budget to budget? And if you can, and you can run your quality to that budget, then
That's the dance.
that equals profit. it only equals profit though if you can keep your budget to the budget. If you go over budget, then that equals like now you need to sell it for more.
Yeah.
And then that doesn't always work. And the market right now is challenging. So that's not, you're not getting a ton of like highest and best and stuff like that. So I'm off on a tangent right now, but it matters to have the crew that protects the budget because the budget is the profit.
In the long run, we mentioned this a little bit too, but in the long run, it benefits them if we profit because we can keep them going, and then we can start making more money. So that's the goal.
Okay, keep going.
Good communication, so key. Fix things that you didn't notice. So they're on the job every day. They see things. They see more than we are seeing. Sometimes you'll get contractors that will be like, well, that wasn't part of my scope. Or you'll get a contractor that's like, well, I'm just here. I got the tool. I got the thing. I'm going to fix it. If it's not a big deal. I get it if it's hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, our rule of thumb is that, like, okay, like, I get it. It wasn't there. But if it's like a quick fix, you're expected to do a quick fix. Like, that's just, for like our guys that run the house.
Yeah.
Like, that's your expectation. You got to do the quick. If there's something that's going to add a significant amount of time, maybe a day of time, then like, okay, let's talk.
Yeah.
But if it's something that's going to be like an hour and we didn't have that in there, like, that's just a part of the expectation. You just need to be a problem solver.
Yeah. They care about the finished product, not just getting a paycheck. Because again, if the house sells and does well, then they have more work.
And then they're profitable. And then if you do that well, then they can grow their team and then they can make more profit.
And I think the good contractors know this and understand this. They think ahead, proactive versus reactive with issues that come up. They actually show up when they say they're gonna, which is like my biggest pet peeve. If the plumber doesn't show when he says, now the next guy is put behind, and the next guy is put behind, and before you know it, your whole timeline is. That is one of the biggest struggles that I have. And then I think that's about it.
Okay. Okay. You have on here the real value of a consistent crew. Trust reduces risk. Massive. Faster decisions. Once they know what you're looking for, they can decide things quicker. And then quality control. The longer you work with somebody, the more that they are used to.
What you expect, what the house should look like when it's done. A finished, good quality product.
And so it goes both ways there. So you have a closing takeaway.
Great contractors are rare, but they are out there. You gotta go through and learn the hard lessons and find the good ones. But when you get them, hold on to them.
Yeah, there's a few people in general that you have to protect. I'm an abundance person. Typically, if you raise private funds, you do your best to protect. The number one thing, if you're using outside money to fund your business, is funding. If you're getting that funding to work on a project from a private person, you kind of protect that source, like that sticks with you. And then, if for a risk allocation standpoint, if they want to, let's say they have $1 million and they're like, okay, I'll put 500,000 with you, and I want to put 500,000 elsewhere. Then it's like, okay, then you can kind of share like that type of private money person. If you're doing that model, the other is your main contractor. Like, they're your main contractor for a reason, and if you give them consistent work, like, don't worry, they're not going to go away. They're not going to leave you, but you want to make sure, like, just treat them well, treat them right, because it's rare to find like the really good ones that have all four: quality, cost, timing, communication. It's really really hard to find all four of those.
Yeah.
So
that's about it.
We did it.
Yeah. Let us know if you have any questions about good contractors. I think next week we're going to talk about bad ones. Lots
How
of
long is that
stories.
one going to be? About
That might be
13 weeks long.
few episodes.
We have found all the bad ones. If you would like to know, just let us know who your contractor is, and we'll be like, yep, they're on the good list or the naughty list. But we have found our fair share, and we're going to talk about all of the craziness that bad contractors can lead to.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's way longer stories than this.
Yeah, it's a bummer, but
a part of all of this, like Niko was saying earlier, like you just got to try them. Like it's what this business comes down to. The other thing worth mentioning in the flipping business, like as you look around and you see other people that are like killing it, crushing it, all that stuff, just know their business is just as much of a shit show as your business. And so everybody's just doing their best. Everybody's keeping it together with bubble gum and duct tape. And so don't think you're the only person on Idiot Island. Everybody kind of feels this way. Some people are further along. Some people have systems and processes figured out. But for everybody, like very rarely do you have like the Harvard graduate that is like, you know what, my standards operating procedure is this, and here's the manual, and here's exactly how we do everything, and we have an assembly line of what can be done, and I got a pipeline of houses, and I got all these crews that can work on it, and I got this hedge fund that's backing it. Like most of the time, like that's not what's out there.
even the big ones on HGTV are going through similar struggles that we are, even though it looks pretty
It
most
does.
of the time. But
Yeah. We've seen too much. You know, everybody deals with the shit. Everybody gets pulled into this. When you're looking at other people going like, how are they making money on that house? The reality is they're probably not. You know, so that's a common one that I hear. Like, how's somebody making money on this flip? Like, they're not. You ran your numbers. You didn't buy that house because the numbers are way too high. Sometimes, you know, if you got your own crew and you do your own thing, there's people that can figure it out. So there's a lot of, we should probably talk about like the different types of buyers at some point.
yeah,
You know, on why some people can make money on a flip compared to like a company like what we're doing, where we have all this infrastructure and we, you know, borrow money and we have people that do work and we don't do any of the actual physical labor ourselves. Uh, we're the most expensive type. Uh, so we need to have the most amount of margin available to be able to offset that. If you got a guy with a hammer that has his own money that's going to list his own house, that guy can afford to pay a lot more money for the same type of house as us. So anyhow, that'll be a different episode.
yes,
I think we did it.
good.
I hope you guys have an awesome, awesome day.
Thank you.
We'll see you next
Bye,
time. Hey,
guys.
we're supposed to like, subscribe,
Follow, share the
follow
posts.
all of it. Tell your family you met these amazing people in Metro Detroit doing some awesome stuff. Not even Metro Detroit. It's really Detroit.
Yeah.
We're literally on the Detroit River. So do all the stuff. Please support us, and we'll keep telling you stories. Talk to you guys later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.